It's the Playhouse Podcast with Kat and JJ.
Believe it. I missed everything.
Missed the show?
What am I going to do?
Check out the Daily Podcast.
Our favorite moments of the week, including how long have you actually had those bags in the back of your car that you're planning on donating? Who holds the record amongst our listeners? And do you know what the Pink Peony Club is? You're going to find out in seconds. Here comes our favorite moments of the week.
I had to shower and go out to my gig last night, which was rainy and cold, but it doesn't matter if you're a college kid because they don't care. And I knew I was getting older because I was looking around and I'm like, where are your coats? What is going on? I literally, and some of the girls, like, the bottom of their butts were coming out of their dresses, but it was like
my daughter on all these cases.
No, she had a sweatshirt. She was dressed accordingly. Okay, but she's like so ungodly tan. How does she get so tan?
Yeah,
all I saw were her teeth.
I think she showers in bronzer.
I think so. I was like, what the heck?
There's a certain thing that happens to my daughter's friend group about this time of the year. They all suddenly emerge from winter, super tan, and
ready
with
for
just
the
super
season.
white teeth, like it's all they care about.
So it was fun. It was like one of those 70s themed, and they all Amazoned bell bottoms, and I still have mine, you know? So I was like, okay, I got this, and great food, and I was so surprised. They were only expecting like 100. There were like 600 kids there.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was massive. And if the
place.
weather was better, it would have been
Shut
insanity.
Down.
Yep. And so I'm excited that they revived that gig. I think it'll be really cool next year. You know what I saw online? My friend's kid, they had like a theme at school. It was dressed like Adam Sandler Day.
Oh, nice.
How fun is that? Not like your favorite president or dressed like someone influential.
Red, white, and blue or something like
or
that.
Or sweats, you know, or like
So
an
what would you go
oversized
as?
hockey jersey.
What would you go as if you were in school?
Her son went as Happy Gilmore, so he had the hockey stick and the flannels. Which one would I do? Probably Hubie Halloween.
Oh, okay. I would go as Annoying Man. Have you ever seen that skit?
No.
So Kevin Nealon, when he was doing Weekend Update on SNL, Adam Sandler was just kind of breaking in or whatever. I think it was Adam Sandler. He did a bunch of different ones. He was Cajun Man.
I could do Opera Man with that hair.
And then he did Opera Man. And then I think one of my favorites was Annoying Man. And every time Kevin would start doing a story, he like had a pan with a fork, or he'd like put his hand in his face, and he'd always go, "Annoying Man, cut it out! Annoying Man, stop it!" And it just kind of got like off its wheels. It was really, really great. But that's a great theme. I like that.
I thought so too. I'm like, way to go, that school he goes to. But
way to go.
That's school. Good job, school.
Yesterday, it was a complete rain out for us, so I got in a really nice workout, hit some golf balls. Just kind of felt like a normal person again without 9 jobs.
Yeah, good.
And so that was great. Can I start your weekend with we've all heard Joe and the Deer, right? The 911 call. Have you never heard Joe and the Deer?
No.
Have I never played this for you? Okay, I'm going to look it up.
Joe and the Deer.
So there's this legendary phone call of this guy who his name is Joe. And he hits a deer, and he picks the deer up and puts it in the back of his Cadillac.
Okay.
And the deer wakes up and starts kicking the crap out of his car. Joe is at a phone booth calling 911. It's the most hilarious
thing. This is real life?
Yes, this is real life. This is legendary. This has got to be 35 years old, 40 years old maybe. Okay. But this could be one of the greatest 911 recent calls.
911, what's your emergency? Yeah, my wife got attacked by a warthog real bad, and I need someone to come up with an ambulance and pick her up. Okay, sir. Can you give me your address? Yeah, we're at 1825 Eucalyptus Drive. Okay, could you spell that for me, sir? I'm going to drag her on over to Oak Street, and you can pick her up there.
So Charles Barkley is tackling the question, which all men are thinking about. We got to give him more to do. I don't know what's going on, but he tackles the viral 100 men versus one gorilla question.
The 100 men.
You think 100 men is going to beat one gorilla?
Yes.
100 men?
100 men.
You know how big a gorilla is?
The gorilla going to get tired, and they're going to be coming from all directions. I don't even need 100 men. I just go be checked one-on-one.
I love it. But, you know, zookeepers like you guys got to settle down. I know the real answer.
So I worked as a zookeeper in the early primates department for about 3 years. And for everyone saying 100 men are going to win, I have one question for you. How are you going to kill it? I haven't heard one logical response or explanation because obviously no tools are allowed. The only thing I hear time and time again is that you're going to poke its eyes out. First off, good luck getting anywhere near his point. Second off, do you think your little fingers are going to get past his eyelids? Absolutely not. But let's say you do gouge his eyes out. That doesn't kill him. That just makes him more angry. Now you have an upset gorilla with no eyes, spinning around Super Smash Bros. Style, hitting you with his 80-pound meat mittens he has for hands. It ain't happening. The gorilla winning.
Here's the deal. I know how to do this. Number one, you got to sacrifice a couple of guys. It's like war, right? You got the guys that just joined that go on the front lines. The officers stay back. Mm-hmm. If you're the officer attacking a gorilla, here's how you do it. You sacrifice a couple of guys. There's always collateral damage in war. You got to go for the anus. You have to. That would
be your tactic.
You got to go for the anus. I'm telling you, a gorilla is almost impenetrable, but somebody has got to sacrifice and go for the anus.
They're always digging up there. You think that it's going to phase them if other people are putting their tiny little human fingers up there?
I'm talking you take anything and you get it up there.
You can't have anything. That's the challenge. There's no tool.
I know, but let's say you get up there and you grab and you rip out from the inside. I think that's how you beat the gorilla.
No.
I've given this plenty of thought.
One by one, human male, boom, knocked to the side.
And like I said, if you sacrifice a couple, I think somebody can get him in the anus.
I'm Team Gorilla. All right. You're the anus man. I know that.
Do we know what's going bump in your basement?
We did find out. So in our bathroom in the basement, the vent goes outside. So if the wind kicks up, it's like a like that. And so, I mean, we've heard that before, but it was kind of like a lower hum. So it sounded weird. And then it was Liam and I, we were up late. It was like 11 p.m. and we were watching Air Force One. So already you're like,
stress levels up.
Yeah. And so the Russians had taken over and it was like, And so when we heard that noise, I told Liam, don't worry about it. And then we heard a boom, like that coming from where the furnace is in our laundry room. And that freaked us out. And I'm like, our basement is not.
You didn't shove your 12-year-old down the stairs to go look?
No, and he would never. And I would never. I just let it slide. I said, somebody is going to get us in our house. It's going to happen. But then last night we were sitting there and it was darker and we had tucked Liam in. And then all of a sudden I heard this bang and I didn't know what room it came from. And I'm like, what could that have been? And we looked at each other and we started investigating a little bit on the main level. And I'm like, I think it came from upstairs. You better go check it out. And he's like, why don't you go check it out?
Why push him in front of the fire?
So you go check it out. And it ended up being his dumb mirror that has to be in our shower for when he shaves. And every year it'll fall because it comes.
Sure, the suction comes off.
Yeah. And so it just, aside from me hearing, I'm down here, I really won't go investigate because I don't want to find something that I don't want to see.
We have a water system since we have well water that regenerates.
Yeah.
And I'll hear that every night at about 10:30. And if I'm just getting to sleep, I'm at the point now where we've lived in our place for almost a year that now I know that it's that sound.
Yeah.
But I used to be up and down there all the time. I have this giant fear of any kind of water pipe breaking and flooding my home.
So that's your fear, not a person.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Listen, I can handle my own still. I'm an old man and I'm a little bit slower now, but I think I can still handle my own if that went down. And listen, you want to rob me, you better have a gun. Mm-hmm. That's the way because you come into my place unwelcomed, it's going down.
Cooked. You got nothing to lose.
I want to bring Jade on the show real quick. You got a story for us?
So funny story. Me and my sister, we own this house together. It's like a rancher, but we still have a basement, right? So it's one level, but there's still some rooms down below, and like that's really just where like the laundry stuff is, right? Like the washer and dryer.
Okay.
I only go down there to do my laundry, but I just kind of get the creeps whenever I'm down there. I always hear noises. I always feel like somebody's like watching me.
Okay.
And it's just not fun. My sister also says the same thing. She says she hears the same noises. It's just kind of creepy. It's an old house. I really just thought it was just like settling. It creaks, it cracks, whatever.
Right.
Maybe it's haunted, the very worst, right? But then my brother came over last week, and he had the balls enough to go down there. We told him not to, and, like, if he needed something from the washer, like, we would get it for him. But he just wanted to make sure that we were okay and safe. And tell me why there was a homeless man squatting in my house in one of the storage rooms downstairs. Yes.
There's a guy in your basement, and you didn't know about it?
For how long?
I didn't know. Me and my sister, I have no idea. There were a lot of, like, pea jars, a bunch of food wrappers, a bunch of bottles.
I can't even imagine.
Like butt. Okay, it did not smell good. And we just kind of thought that was like a broken pipe sewage line or something, but it was a whole person. It was a whole person squatting in my house.
So you and your sister have been sleeping upstairs this whole time. This guy has been down in your basement, and you had no idea.
I had no idea. It could have been a serial murderer, and we would have no idea.
So what do? Do you call the cops or what?
Yeah, I called the cops. So by the time that we addressed him and I guess said hello, to the new roommate, he left. He kind of got spooked. He got
and he
scared.
never came back.
Dude, just on his way.
No. And I'd never seen him before, so it was just such a wild occurrence. And I'm curious to know how long he stayed in my home for free.
I don't know if you'll ever get that answer, but you guys need to put some security measures in check now.
Time for some Arlo cams or something.
Yeah, definitely getting a camera.
If your boyfriend goes out with his boys this weekend and he comes back with an STI and says it was from a karaoke microphone, you're not going to believe him, are you?
It is a very far-fetched story, but not impossible. So when you hear about this poor girl in South Korea goes out with her friends for karaoke night, which is huge there, by the way, and then she holds the microphone a little bit too close to her mouth and then walks away with some bumps. What a nightmare. What a nightmare.
I think you're suspect. It doesn't hold water for me.
I think it does. It's very feasible. Somebody else who had kind of a dirty mouth up there, there's spit going everywhere, and then you put it on your mouth. How could you not catch or contract something?
Megan, I appreciate you holding for as long as you did. I know you got a story for us. This was you?
Dude, no, it was my friend. It was so wild. So when we were 12, I'm still friends with her now, but when we were 12, we were in Florida. We were hanging out. We went to go shopping, actually bikini shopping. We were trying to get some new bathing suits so that we could hit the beach. I think one of my straps popped or something, so we had to go get a new bathing suit. When we're trying them on, she says she starts to feel a little bit weird, a little bit hot, a little bit itchy. I don't think much of it. Maybe I think it's allergies or something. A couple hours later, we're eating, and then she's saying she's really having a lot of irritation, right?
Oh, no.
Just really just starting to be very uncomfortable. So her mom, bites the bullet, takes her to a clinic, and girl, let me tell you what it was.
Please?
It was an STI. She got an STI from the bathing suit. So the doctors eventually tracked it down, and it wasn't the first case, but she was one of 100 people
no
in that
way.
specific city.
What? I'm not believing this for a second.
How is this not a news story? But I believe it. But I love how they have the little strips in the crotch where it's don't remove this. But it's everyone's crotch is going on top of the strip.
It's going on, right. And it's plastic, so it's definitely holding some kind of bacteria. So, now I always wear my underwear whenever I try on.
I do too.
Any bikinis, any undergarments. I really don't even like, clothes touching me, period. Even if it's from a thrift store, I have to wash it first.
Yeah, of course you got to wash it from a thrift store. I appreciate your story. I don't know. I don't believe this. I don't believe the mechanical bull. I don't believe the microphone. I don't believe the crotch strip out of a bathing suit.
How do you not believe it? All of them come in contact with an infected area. Of course it could happen. You just think you're just such a skeptic. You think people are lying about everything.
I think girls lie about it, but if a guy comes back with an STI, he for sure was being dirty.
I don't know. I just think now we have a new thing to worry about.
I'll tell you this much. If I go looking for a brand new pair of swim trunks and I come home with an STI, there's no way my wife believes that. There's no way.
I would now. If you go there and you could take the shorts into the doctor and just say, can you test these, please?
Trish, listen, I was in Nashville with my friends. We were riding the mechanical bull. I had a pair of loose shorts on. Next thing you know, that's what these red bumps are from. Man, if a guy says it, it has nothing. You don't believe him for a second.
Because you'd say it with that face on.
Women have built up these excuses over the years to get them by. It's a bathing suit. It's a microphone. It's a mechanical bull. Man, I ain't buying it.
Bingo! How fun!
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo.
Bingo! Bingo what bingo? Bingo! Bingo!
All right, for long lost listening bingo, are you a long lost what? So we kind of both are looking for something found this morning. Kat's looking for anyone listening who
has found a long lost relative or a sibling that came back in your life, that Uber driver that picks up this guy and he's like, well, he has the same name as a brother of mine that was put into foster care and haven't seen him in 20 some years. And then all of a sudden all these pieces come together and they're like, oh my gosh,
this is
we're
such a
brothers.
cool story.
Yeah.
So I was driving Uber late one night. I get a request from someone named Jalen. My older brother's name was Jalen, too. It's been over 20 years since I've seen him. He got taken by foster care when I was 7. Pull up. He gets in. Didn't recognize him at all. About 10 minutes in, he looks out the window and says, "Man, I haven't seen this part of the city since I was a kid. Used to live off Boone Street till foster care took me when I was 9. That was our street." Then he says, "I had this little brother who used to steal my cereal and hide under the laundry basket like I wouldn't notice." That was me.
That was
Now,
him.
how do you explain that? How do you
Fate.
possibly explain you two having this moment after all that time? Incredible.
I'm looking for anyone listening who found a good chunk of money. This mailman found money in the driveway, didn't take it, decided to give it back to the family.
The way it was positioned, it looked like it fell out of their pocket when getting into the car. Because nobody came, I left a note just so it wouldn't fall to the bottom of the box.
And he just rang the doorbell. Nobody showed up. He gave him back the money. I was like, man, that's a trustworthy postal worker. So good morning, Amy. Which one do you fit?
I have a long-lost half-sister.
Okay. How'd you find them?
My aunt and I decided to find her. This was back in '96 after my second son was born. And we pretended to be a friend from high school because it was not in great split from when my dad and her mom split up. So I pretended to be somebody from high school. She called me and I told her who I was, and she basically told me where to go, and I haven't talked to her since.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I was really thinking this was going to end up as a happy
Well, I
story.
can only imagine that her mom had a lot to say about you guys and kind of poisoned her mind, which is sad. You know, you should always let somebody make up their own mind about someone. But
right.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
I tried.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave it your effort, and you got a couple extra organs floating around there if you want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way you got to look at it.
Sounds like she's ready to hand him over.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I appreciate your thoughts on this. Hi, Steph. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great. Thanks for calling the show. Which one do you fit?
I fit yours, JJ.
Okay, what kind of money did you find?
Well, it really wasn't a lot, but I was 12, and we were at Dairy Queen, and I had gotten out of the car, and we were walking up, and I ended up finding a $100 bill.
That's a lot.
But, yeah, it was a lot when I was 12. So, I mean, it got me, a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, a lot of peanut butter parfaits out of that deal.
Yeah.
And you never found out whose money it was. It was just yours to keep.
Yep.
All right,
This
$100.
could have been a learning moment taught by your mom to you. She could have said, honey, somebody dropped that.
Right.
Let's leave it with Dairy Queen and see if somebody comes back. But your mom said, put it in your pocket.
God gave that to us.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's eat some ice cream.
Let's eat. I like that. Turn it into some soft serve. Thanks, Steph. I appreciate it.
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo. Bingo.
Bingo what bingo?
Bingo! All right, listener bingo this morning has us looking for amazing stories from you. If you're somebody listening,
Who has a ton of change in their house? My dad used to have, and he might still in like a closet, one of those big jugs, glass jugs with
Yeah.
a small opening, and he would just fill it up.
a lot of people use maybe like the returnable water kind of Culligan kind of deals. My dad used to have a big, like a gallon jar of whiskey that had been emptied out. It was a glass bottle. It was super heavy, but all his spare change would go in there every night.
So this 18-wheeler hauling millions of dimes overturned on a highway in Texas, scattering everywhere.
First time we've ever seen that happen.
I just saw a truck flipped over.
That's a lot of dimes. That many dimes is, well, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah. So they had to use bare hands, vacuums, rakes, volunteers. One for you, two from my pocket. One for you, two from my pocket. That could add up. But you have a ton of change at your house.
And I'm on the hunt for anyone listening who really kind of built their own home. Inspired by the story we had from a listener a few days ago where she's going to get, I think she said in August, she gets to move into her Habitat for Humanity house. And I had asked kind of about the sweat equity she had to do. And she was doing all sorts of stuff, swinging hammers,
Which
landscaping.
brings you so much pride. Like when you roll up in the driveway, like our friends Tony and Julie, they built the home that they live in right now. It's beautiful. And so she was taking us on a tour on New Year's Eve. And I was like, God, that fireplace is incredible. She's like, yeah, Tony laid it rock after
Brick
rock
by
after.
brick.
I'm like, oh my God.
I wish I had that skill set. Hey, Terry, you built your own home?
Yes, I have built my own home.
My God. How long does it take when you're doing it by yourself?
Well, it depends on how many hours you put in. If you go there every day, you can get it done quicker. But if your house is a little far away, I have a house I was trying to build about an hour away, so I'd have to drive an hour each day.
Yeah.
And then go to work on it and then drive all the way back to St. Paul here.
How long did that take you to get done then? I mean, was this years?
I did it myself, and it took me about 2 years to do.
So we have a coworker whose basement was unfinished in their house, and her husband would come home from working a long day and then put in more hours downstairs.
I did that for about 6 months.
Yeah, that's got to be really tough.
Yeah, because we did the foundation, and the kind of foundation we did, because the water table was high where it's at, I had to do a slab-on-grade type of house.
Gotcha.
Okay. So do you think you could write a book right now with all the do's and don'ts and save people a lot of heartache?
I could write a book, but that's a lot of work in itself.
Are you at the point now?
You built a house. You could write a book.
Are you at the point now where, like, when people ask you for help with this stuff, you're like, no, I'm spent?
I give advice to them. If friends want help, I'll help them out.
Yeah.
My knees and back and everything else are shot. I'm 55 years old, and I'm ready to retire because I'm so beat up.
You should never tell somebody that you have skills. Like, don't ever tell your friends that you have skills. They should know that you're skillless.
I hear anybody's moving, I immediately go, I got slipped discs.
Yeah.
My knees are bad. I don't.
My poor older brother, Casey. I mean, he's the one that we go to for anything and everything. I just feel so bad for him, but don't know everything.
Hey,
know?
Terry, did this pay off in a big, big way, though? Like, as far as the money you saved on labor and everything like that, will you, significantly increase your value?
It paid off huge. Just from buying the property, I paid $10,000 for the lot.
Wow.
But now my neighbor across the way paid $60,000 for his lot.
Ooh.
So you're going to make a significant amount of money for retirement here then, huh?
I'm hoping so.
All right, brother. Hey, I appreciate you sharing your story. Have a great day today.
Hey, thank you guys. You guys have a good day too.
Take care. Hey, Vicky, how you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
Good. Thanks for asking. You guys, did I get this right? You guys built your shop, so is this like a pole barn?
Yeah.
And you guys, you and your husband did it.
We didn't do the concrete because I said I wasn't getting into that.
Okay.
But everything else, I now know how to put up the plastic in there, the insulation, the sheetrock. I will not advise to do it. It is a lot of work. And if I'm a woman, and I am not She-Ra.
Was it one of those kits like that you can buy online that, it's kind of... Oh.
So you just went to Home Depot, Menards, wherever it was, Lowe's, and you got all the materials delivered?
He had a good idea of what he wanted. Yep. Yeah. He had a good idea of what he wanted, and we took it from there.
How long did it take you, by the way, to get this whole thing from after the concrete dried to getting everything done?
I want to say 2.5 months.
And how many times did you threaten divorce?
Every day.
Yeah.
You just have to understand that you don't mean it, but you just got to work through it.
Worth it now in the end, though?
Oh, it's worth it because now when I have my side of the garage and he can go out in his shop and do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
So you found yourself a little bit of space and you got stuff for storage. Great stuff. Thanks for sharing with us. I hope you have a great day.
You too.
Take care. I want to get Ariel on real quick because she called first and we left her on hold the longest. Sorry, Ariel. You doing all right?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Which one do you fit?
A lot of change.
How much?
So when my grandma passed away, we were cleaning out her house, and all throughout the house, we ended up finding 3 big storage tubs just packed full of change.
Oh, my God.
And we still, to this day, it's been 3 years since she passed, and we don't know how to get rid of it. Do we take it all in at once and cash it in? I mean, it's still just sitting there.
Just take it to a bank and have them go through, and you'll end up with
an all-day process.
Yeah, you just got to drop it off and trust them, right? You just drop it off. You go, here's the 3 bins. You mark them with your name, and you say, call me when this is ready. And then a week later, they'll be like, here's your $43.
They'll give you the Ziploc bag of like bobby pins and pesos and stuff like that I have to deal with.
What's your best estimate as to how much money you have in those 3 bins?
I'd say well over $20,000.
Oh,
$20,000 in change?
So what is wrong with you? Why are you sitting on it? You need to do it this weekend.
That's a Hyundai.
That's a project just this weekend.
Yeah.
Get it done.
I just don't know. It's so heavy. I don't know how to go about getting rid of it.
You probably got to break it up. You probably got to break it up. You're going to have to go scoop it into like 5-gallon buckets and, get a couple of strong folk in there and just have them muscle it up and maybe take a couple of buckets every week to the bank. They're going to hate you, by the way.
I know, and that's too. I don't want to be embarrassed, because it's those big, huge bins, that you store clothes and Christmas trees in.
But isn't the government asking for this stuff? They're like begging for change.
They make new money every day. They don't want this stuff.
Don't you remember, like throughout the pandemic, all those sheets of paper in front of every single register where it's like, please pay with as much change as possible. The government needs it, so you could be helping them.
Well, when you get this done, will you call us back and let us know actually the number?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I got to hear this.
Do that.
So you're thinking 3 giant Christmas bins, Kat. She thinks it's $20,000. You want to put a number on this real quick for when she calls back?
I don't think she's going to call back for like a year, but I'm going to say $17,000.
I'm going to go 12. I think you guys are overestimating how much is in there. But last question real quick, Ariel. Why was Grandma hoarding all this change? What was her deal?
She was just really good with her money. She saved money and didn't like to spend it. So, we were thinking after she passed, God, maybe every day after work, did she just dump her purse out in the bin and
maybe,
for 30 years and leave it, let it
What if you
sit?
find out she was embezzling change little by little over 30 years and now there's like $50,000 in there?
That's not your problem. You go on vacation with this money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do it in her honor. Go somewhere and do it in her honor and say, thanks, Grandma.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea.
Get back. Now you have a chore. You got to get this in. You got to get back at us. We want to see how much money's in there, okay? So Kat had mentioned to me the other day that she can't really get anything in the back of her vehicle anymore because she's just got a bunch of crap that she's been trying to donate for a couple of months.
So I've had this baby shower stuff in the back of my car forever just because I wanted to be packed and ready to go. So that's out of there. But still, for so long now, for almost like a month and a half, I've been driving around with these Goodwill bags because we did the rest of our we had our closets done. So we went through and downsized most of our clothes and then went and did some stuff in the basement. And Derek's like, every single day, he's like, you want me to drop that off for you? Because he's so good at it. He'll just go right there. He'll make it a point to do it. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm always like, I got it. So I want to know if anybody can beat the amount of time these bags for Goodwill have been in the back of my car, which is going on 55 days.
So you're like 6-7 weeks into this. Yeah. Morning, Lori.
I got her beat.
Okay.
How much? How long has that stuff been sitting in the back of your ride?
Yeah, I drive a little Ford Focus, so it's my little hatchback. It's been in there for 3 months.
Oh, my God, but why? How many times, first of all, have you driven by a Goodwill or somewhere you could donate?
So about 5 times and drove by it every time.
Why aren't you stopping?
You got to stop.
I got so many other things to do, I swear.
So we're at 3 months. So you barely got into the new year, and you threw that stuff in the back, and it's just been rattling around since.
3 months in my Ford Focus, yep.
We got a winner. We got a leader in the clubhouse, everybody.
20% of grandparents are not fans of their grandchildren's names. It is totally out of your control, grandparents. That's got to feel weird.
We just talked to Hilda,
yeah.
And did she say it was a great aunt? But I think a lot of grandparents have a say in this.
You think?
I
or
think
like
they do.
Maybe sway.
Because here's how it works.
parent to
When
be?
you find out you're pregnant, who's one of the first people you tell?
Mom and
You
dad.
tell your mom, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you find out and you tell your mom, and we're thinking of naming him Liam,
Yeah.
you can tell right then if you get the Jen look or if you get the, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And whether or not you should go with that name.
They didn't have any kickback on Liam because we also said he's a William, but the most disliked grandkid names by grandparents, Noah, Sally, Tabitha, Aurora, Charlotte, Elijah, and Finn, and Jack.
I think those are all really normalish names.
They're pretty normal, yeah. This woman in Pennsylvania is so upset at another driver. And what you should do is just you got to bottle it up and you got to drive away because you're going to do something that you regret, like get out and pull your pants down and poop on their hood. So the thing is, it wasn't just like this cute turd. It was a
blowout?
mess. So she had something building up and...
This was a woman that did this?
Yes. This is a woman.
Oh, I would have got a guy doing it.
No.
You're telling me a woman got out in traffic, pulled her pants down, got on the hood, squatted, took a dump.
Yes. And it was...
What's happened to the fairer sex?
I don't know. They are not painting us in the best light, but she was just trying to get her point across there.
So over the weekend, I went and saw my friend Andy Austin play in this little bar. It was like 5 of us, and he covered Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan, and there were these girls sitting next to us. And do you know what Peony's disease is?
Peony's disease?
Yeah.
No.
It's
Did they make it up and now you're saying
no.
it's bad?
Well, maybe I'm not saying it right, but they were singing in the Peony Club, and then they were pointing around at guys in the bar.
Yeah.
Peony's, I think I'm saying that right. It's when a man's private has got like a hinge in it or a curve. Is it peonies? Are you finding it?
Well, it only comes up as for the flower.
Okay, maybe I'm not saying it right. I
don't know if you should be saying it.
It's a medical term. It's the same as.
Then why wouldn't it pop up? Peony?
I think that's what it is.
Peony disease.
Yeah, because I didn't know what it was either, and then my wife said that's when a guy's got a curve.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
It's a penile curvature due to scar tissue buildup.
Right. From excessive use?
Yes.
At home?
Could be painful.
It looks like it.
So let's give these guys a break.
But it was really funny because he got him up to the second chorus, and all these girls in the bar started in the Peony Club, and then they were pointing at guys.
Sad.
I know. But they were having a great time. Like, they were mini.
If guys did that to girls around the bar and like made fun of the different size breasts or like, it says this really takes a toll on a man's self-esteem.
Of course it would. I mean, if you're making a left turn every time you... What if you got to tilt tilt your body to take a whiz?
Get yourself in the face on accident.
Yeah,
Get the guy's shoes next to you.
It's all bad news, man.
God, I think I was having a bad day.
I was like, what are they saying? And then my wife goes, this one is bent. And I go, oh my God, really? And I thought it was funny. You could
because you don't have it. It's not funny for people that have it. Call now if you have it.
Bingo! How fun!
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo.
Bingo! Bingo what bingo? Bingo! Bingo!
All right, phone lines are lit, but are the people listening, or at least calling, somebody listening who?
Who has fainted in public? So this wasn't a real faint, but this guy who serves at a restaurant, he forgot to put this massive party's order in. So 30 minutes later, he goes to check on it, and they were like, you never sent anything in. And so he went back to the table and told them that he went to go put their order in, and then he fainted because he hadn't eaten all day.
I'm like, sir, I am so sorry, but back there I was putting in your order, and I fainted. The moms at the table were like, honey, are you okay? I'm like, I just haven't had time to eat or drink anything. I've been working all day. I drop off their food 25 minutes later. They're literally all clapping. Paisley is like worshiping me. They tipped us $400. Always lie.
This guy's a trip.
There you go. Don't always lie. That's horrible advice. But you ended up fainting. I remember I was at the grocery store, and it was right after my very first surgery. And so Liam was really young. He was like maybe a few months old. And I had him in my shopping cart, and I started getting like gray and felt like I was going to faint. I had to sit right where that thing that goes around with the bags or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, I got to sit down like I'm going to faint. And then like an idiot, I came to, and I felt a little bit better, got us everything in the car or whatever, and drove home.
And then drove while you were ready to faint.
I should not have done that. I know. I look back stupid.
I'm looking for anyone listening who has actually been hit by lightning. Like, you can say, it got me. I felt it.
Yeah.
I think it's so fascinating.
I want you to
when
win.
Live through something like this. How's Kayla doing today?
I'm good.
Good. Which one do you fit?
I fit the fainting
All
in
right,
public.
let's
Oh my
go.
God. What happened? Was it lack of blood to the brain? Was it lack of food, water? What happened?
You know, I don't even know to this day. I was actually about 6 months pregnant with
scary.
my middle child. Yeah, and I was working and helping customers at a bank, and all of a sudden I went down. Thankfully, I didn't hit my head, though.
Just lights out. How long were you out?
I don't exactly know, but I went to the hospital, and they ended up doing a bunch of tests to make sure everything was all good. And
Yeah, it's scary with a
to this
baby.
day, I still don't even know.
And that's the only time it's ever happened to you.
No, it actually then with my third child, it happened again to me.
So you're a pregnant fainter. Outside of that, though, nothing?
I guess. Yeah, no, nothing. That was
That's
it.
crazy.
I ate and everything.
And you
really
asked
weird.
your doctor about it, and they didn't have any answers for you?
No, they checked my heart, they checked my blood sugar, everything. It was really, really weird.
You're like one of those goats, but when you're pregnant.
And nobody's screaming at you.
Thanks, Kayla. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great morning. Sarah's online, too. Good morning, Sarah. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. Which one do you fit?
The lightning.
Let's go.
Oh, my
This is
God.
what I wanted to hear.
All
Tell
right.
us about it.
Some people that get hit by lightning have those gray trail veins for the rest of their
Or
life.
they start speaking Mandarin.
You seem fine.
Yeah. I am fine. Actually, it wasn't exactly me. It was my sister, but it wasn't once. It was twice.
Oh, she got hit by lightning twice. That is so rare.
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And to tell you the truth, I don't think she's normal.
Was she normal to start before the lightning?
No.
Okay.
No.
So this probably helped her.
Maybe.
Was it in the same spot? Because, the old saying of lightning never strikes twice. I mean, obviously it found her twice, but was it in the same area?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. 2 years apart.
Oh, my God.
Did her head start smoking or anything like the cartoons?
No, the first time it was an indirect hit, through a tree. She was younger, younger child, and it was a storm, and she hid under a tree from the storm. And yeah, right. Her parents didn't teach her anything, and so I came down through the tree and got her. And then the other one, she was trying to take cover, and so she was running across an open field, and it just came through, and it was probably about 3 or 4 feet from her and just zapped her.
Did she pee her pants at all? Because they say you lose.
She went down, so everything.
Stop laughing when you tell this story. That's horrible. You're only laughing because it never happened to you. So I looked up the odds of being struck by lightning twice in a lifetime. They're extremely low. 1 in 9 million.
Wow.
So. Yeah.
And she has
Well, here you go.
no real long-lasting effects?
Yet to be determined. I don't know.
I'm sure she really appreciates you coming on the radio and telling a couple 100,000 people about this.
Well, she lives in a different state. She'll never know.
Screw her. All right. Have a great morning. Thanks for sharing with us.